Why is Agamemnon so important in the Odyssey, the king who changed Odysseus' fate? Warning, this video contains spoilers for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, Homer's The Odyssey, and the Iliad. At first glance, Agamemnon doesn't seem like one of the main characters in the Odyssey. He isn't fighting monsters. He isn't sailing across dangerous seas. And unlike Odysseus, he doesn't spend years trying to find his way home. In fact, by the time the Odyssey begins, Agamemnon is already dead. So why does Homer keep bringing him up throughout the story? Why does Christopher Nolan give so much importance to a king who barely appears on screen? And why do many scholars consider Agamemnon one of the most important characters in the Odyssey, even though he isn't the hero? The answer is simple. Agamemnon's story is the mirror image of Odysseus' journey. Everything that happens to Agamemnon serves as a warning about what could happen to Odysseus if he makes the wrong choices. Let's explain. To understand Agamemnon's importance, we first have to remember who he was. Agamemnon was the king of Mycenae and the supreme commander of the Greek armies during the Trojan War. He united the Greek kingdoms and led thousands of warriors against Troy for 10 long years. Without Agamemnon, there would have been no Greek expedition. Without his leadership, there would have been no victory at Troy, but winning the war didn't guarantee a happy ending. When Agamemnon finally returned home, he expected celebration. Instead, he was murdered. His wife, Clytemnestra, and her lover, Aegisthus, had spent years planning revenge. The man who conquered Troy couldn't even survive his first day back in his own palace. For many stories, that would simply be another tragic ending. But in the Odyssey, Agamemnon's death becomes something much bigger. It becomes a warning. One of the most powerful moments in the epic happens when Odysseus journeys to the underworld to seek advice from the prophet Tiresias. Among the spirits of the dead, he meets Agamemnon. Their conversation changes everything. Agamemnon tells Odysseus exactly how he was betrayed after returning home. Then he offers a piece of advice that may have saved Odysseus' life. Do not trust anyone too quickly when you return to Ithaca. Those words stay with Odysseus for the rest of his journey. Instead of sailing into Ithaca as a victorious king announcing his return, Odysseus does the exact opposite. With Athena's help, he disguises himself as an old beggar. He secretly walks through his own kingdom. He watches. He listens. He studies the people around him. He discovers which servants remain loyal. He sees how the suitors have taken over his palace. He reunites with his son, Telemachus, in private. Only after learning the truth does he reveal his identity. If Agamemnon hadn't warned him, Odysseus might have made the same fatal mistake. This is one of the biggest reasons Agamemnon is so important. His tragedy directly shapes Odysseus' decisions. But that's only one part of his role. Agamemnon also serves as a powerful comparison between two very different kings. Both men spent 10 years fighting in Troy. Both dreamed of returning home. Both lost countless friends during the war. Yet their homecomings couldn't have been more different. Agamemnon returned with confidence. Odysseus returned with caution. Agamemnon trusted the people waiting for him. Odysseus tested everyone's loyalty before revealing himself. Agamemnon walked into a trap. Odysseus carefully set one of his own. One king underestimated the dangers at home. The other expected them. That's why one survived and the other didn't. There's another important contrast that often goes unnoticed. Agamemnon ruled through authority. Odysseus ruled through intelligence. Throughout both the Iliad and the Odyssey, Agamemnon often believes that his position as king automatically earns him respect. Odysseus, on the other hand, wins people over through cleverness, patience, and adaptability. Whenever brute force fails, Odysseus thinks his way out of danger. Whether escaping the Cyclops, surviving the Sirens, or reclaiming his palace, his greatest weapon is always his mind. Agamemnon's story highlights exactly why those qualities matter. His importance also extends to another major theme in the Odyssey, the consequences of war. Many stories end when the battle is won. But Homer asks a different question. What happens after the heroes go home? The answer isn't simple. Some heroes never return. Some return physically, but are emotionally broken. Some discover that everything they fought for has changed. Agamemnon represents that painful reality. He survives one of history's greatest wars only to lose his life in his own home. His story reminds us that victory on the battlefield doesn't guarantee peace in everyday life. Christopher Nolan explores this idea beautifully. Rather than treating Troy as the ending, he presents it as the beginning of a much deeper emotional journey. Agamemnon becomes a symbol of every soldier who survives war but struggles with what comes afterward. His death also highlights one of the central themes of Greek mythology. Home is never exactly as you remember it. For Agamemnon, home became a place of betrayal. For Odysseus, home became a place that had to be reclaimed. Neither man returned to the same world they had left 20 years earlier. Perhaps the greatest difference between them lies in one simple quality: patience. Agamemnon wanted immediate celebration. Odysseus understood that some victories require waiting. By hiding his identity, observing quietly, and choosing the perfect moment to act, Odysseus succeeds where Agamemnon failed. In many ways, Agamemnon teaches Odysseus the final lesson he needs before becoming king again. Without ever fighting beside him in the story, Agamemnon becomes one of Odysseus' greatest teachers. His mistakes become Odysseus' greatest advantage. So, why is Agamemnon so important in the Odyssey? Because he represents everything Odysseus could have become. He's the hero who won the war but lost his home. The king who conquered Troy but couldn't protect his own family. And the tragic figure whose fate teaches Odysseus that surviving the journey is only half the battle. Sometimes ... The hardest part is knowing how to come home. What do you think? Do you believe Agamemnon's fate was unavoidable because of the choices he made before the Trojan War? Or could he have survived if he had returned home more cautiously like Odysseus? And here's another question. If Odysseus had ignored Agamemnon's warning and openly announced his return to Ithaca, do you think the suitors would have killed him before he ever had the chance to reclaim his kingdom? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your theories and discuss them with you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more The Odyssey explained videos, Greek mythology stories, hidden details, character breakdowns, and Christopher Nolan analysis. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.